Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to deconstruct one single, super famous sentence from an ancient text. You've almost certainly heard it before. But what if the way we've always thought about it is kind of missing the point? Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with a big question. One I think we all wrestle with. What does it actually mean to be a good person? Really, is it about the things we do or the things we think, or is it something else completely? This question, believe it or not, is the perfect key to unlock what we're talking about today. So, the source we're digging into today looks at the Beatitudes from a really unique angle. It argues that they're not just some random checklist of good things to be. No, it sees them as a journey, a kind of spiritual staircase that you have to climb one step at a time. And here it is. This is what that staircase looks like. Now, our main focus is going to be that fourth step, hungering and thirsting for righteousness. But to really get it, we have to understand the foundation it's built on. See, the source is really clear on this. You can't just jump to the top. Every single step is essential.
So what about these first steps? Well, according to this interpretation, these first three mindsets are what make that fourth one even possible to begin with.
All right, let's break them down. Step one is poverty of spirit. This just means realizing you're spiritually bankrupt, that on your own, you've got nothing to offer. That leads to step two, mourning, which is this deep, genuine sorrow over your own failings and where they've led. And from there, you get to step three, meekness. Now, this isn't weakness, not at all. It's about having a totally honest view of yourself, not thinking you're better than you are, but not thinking you're worse either. It's only from this humble place that the next step can even happen. So you've recognized your need, you've mourned your failures, and you've gotten a real, honest perspective on yourself. And that's when you finally land on the fourth step, which is the very heart of what we're talking about today. This intense desire for righteousness. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. It's one of the most famous lines ever, but it also opens up a huge question. I mean, we use the word righteous, but what does it actually mean? What are we supposed to be hungry for? Well, if you go back to the original languages, the meaning is actually pretty straightforward. It just means to be correct, innocent, or simply right, to be in a right standing. But that, of course, leads to the next big question, a right standing with who? And this is where our source material drops a real game changer. It argues that to get this right, you have to split the whole idea of righteousness into two totally separate categories. This distinction is crucial. Check this out. On one side, you've got positional righteousness. Think of this as your vertical relationship, how you stand before God. And on the other side, you've got personal righteousness. This is your horizontal relationship, your actions, your integrity, how you deal with other people. See? Two different directions, but both are called righteousness. So the main idea is that righteousness, in both cases, is all about your actions. It's about being correct in what you do. But, and this is a huge but, this creates a massive problem, a paradox that ancient thinkers were totally obsessed with. This quote from the prophet Isaiah just lays the problem bare. He says that even our best efforts, our most righteous acts, are like filthy rags from a divine viewpoint. So you see the paradox? If righteousness is based on our actions, but even our best actions are not good enough, how could anyone ever be made right with God? For the answer, the source points us to the Apostle Paul. He argues that positional righteousness, that right standing with God, is not something you can earn. It's not achieved through your actions or by trying to follow a bunch of rules. Instead, it's described as a gift, something that comes through faith in Jesus Christ. It's about who you trust, not what you do. Okay, so what about the other kind, that personal, day-to-day righteousness with other people? Well, according to this interpretation, that comes after faith. It's seen as the natural result of an internal change, where the Holy Spirit starts to influence a person's actions, leading to more integrity, more honesty, more compassion. So now we kind of get the what, these two types of righteousness. But let's go back and look at the how. What does it really mean to hunger and thirst for something? Because the intensity of those words, that's the whole point. You know, for most of us today, hunger is just a feeling that sends us to the fridge. It's an inconvenience, right? But for the people who first heard this, hunger was a desperate life or death thing. It was this constant gnawing force. The entire purpose of their workday was just to get enough food to not starve.
This proverb really nails it. Hunger wasn't just a feeling, it was the engine that powered a person's entire existence. So when this text tells you to hunger and thirst for righteousness, it's not talking about some casual wish to be a bit better. It's talking about a desperate, all-consuming, life-or-death longing.
And here's the amazing part. For anyone who feels that desperate, all-consuming longing, the verse gives an absolutely incredible promise. The promise is that they will be filled. But again, the original language is so much more vivid than our English translation. The Greek word used here doesn't just mean to fill a cup or satisfy your hunger. It means to be saturated. Imagine a sponge dropped into water. It's so completely soaked that the water becomes a part of it. That's the idea.
So let's bring it all back to our staircase. This fourth step, this hunger and thirst for righteousness, is really a longing for both kinds at once. It's a desire to be made right with God through faith, and a desire to live right before people through the Spirit's power. It's a longing for total correctness, both vertically and horizontally.
And here's the final piece that ties it all together. You never actually leave the first steps behind. The journey builds on itself. That feeling from step 1, knowing you're spiritually bankrupt, that's the very thing that fuels the desperate hunger in step 4. It's because you know you can't do it on your own that you long for it so intensely from somewhere else.
And that leaves us with one last thing to chew on. If righteousness is both a gift you have to receive and a life you have to live, how might that change the way you see yourself? And maybe more importantly, how you see everybody else?